Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to share some thoughts on the first annual National Day of Reconciliation. I'm Dr. Sabrina Saunders, a member of the Lenni Lenape and Mohawk of the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, and the CEO of the Blue Mountains Public Library. I would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. Given that we are meeting virtually and with staff from across the province, we'll use an acknowledgement of the provincial capital of Toronto. As each of us from across Ontario gather together, we acknowledge this sacred land on which we operate. It has been the site of human activity for 15,000 years, starting with the traditional custodians of the land, the Indigenous people, known and unknown, ceded and unceded. We'd also like to remind and reaffirm, as Canadians, our accountability to these Indigenous nations and to the Indigenous people and communities living in Ontario. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We acknowledge the Indigenous lands and treaties upon which each of our home communities in Ontario prosper, and we further commit that if we individually do not know which Indigenous people or treaties are found in our home community, we will educate ourselves of who are the stewards of the land. Our provincial capital is located in the Dish with One Spoon territory, a treaty between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Anishinaabe, and the Allied Nations to peaceably share and care for this land, its waters, and all of the biodiversity in the Great Lakes region. This was and continues to be a place of gathering, meetings, and commerce through the known history. All those who come to live and work here are responsible for the honoring of this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Today is a special day. Not only is it the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, an opportunity for each of us to consider our roles in achieving the Truth and Reconciliation's 94 calls to action, but it's Orange Shirt Day. Orange Shirt Day has received much fanfare in recent years, but it's actually decades old. Phyllis Webstad of the Northern Shuswap went to day school in 1973. Like so many families have done for the first day of school, Phyllis's grandmother purchased her a new outfit, including an orange shirt. When she got to the institution, though, she was stripped of her clothing, which was never returned to her. The trauma for this little 6-year-old child stuck with her, and she told her own granddaughter years later the story of this. Her granddaughter was so upset by the treatment of children in day and residential schools that she took the story of maltreatment of one child, the way she felt, as if nobody, including her teachers, paid attention to her or cared about her, and the imprinting of one color, orange, on her memory. This is the story of Orange Shirt Day, and why Indigenous people have worn orange shirts on September 30th for decades. Recently, this has been merged with Every Child Matters. Those lost and injured through day and residential school, as well as those who are still being stripped from their communities through the foster care system. As we know, today is the National Day of Reconciliation. It's important that we think of this day as a day of action and remembrance. Like Remembrance Day, it should not be a holiday where we simply get a paid vacation day, but a day where there is contemplation of the truth of Canada's treatment of Indigenous people and reconciliation, where we work to make changes to the social fabric in our own circles. While we cannot each fix or complete the 94 calls to action individually, we all have power and influence in our workplaces and in our personal circles. We each have the opportunity to work towards decolonization in our workplaces. So what can you do? You can advocate for a land acknowledgement statement in your municipality and in each of your meetings. You can educate your own workforce on Orange Shirt Day and motivate your workplace to participate in the annual event. purchasing official shirts from the Orange Shirt Society or other like organization who use the funds to bring about change instead of using an unaffiliated source like Etsy or Amazon. You can work with your council to raise an Every Child Matters flag and provide an annual declaration. If you have a residential school or not in your region, it's important that you keep your staff informed of the thousands of bodies of unnamed children who have been discovered in the months since the original 215 were found in Kamloops. While truth and reconciliation seems a mammoth task, we each do our part by bringing it down to the basics. Truth is learning or unlearning what we've been told. Reconciliation is taking actions to make change. I will wrap up my time with you by offering you a virtual smudge. We burn our medicines like sage, sweetgrass, cedar, and tobacco prior to gathering so that the smoke can fill the room prior to our words filling the room. We use these medicines to clear our minds of preconceptions, our eyes and ears so that we may see and hear each other with respect, and our hearts can be open to new ideas in a good way. We end our smudge by saying thank you to the Creator for providing us with the medicines to complete the ceremony. In the Haudenosaunee language, that would be Nyawa, and in the Anishinaabe languages, that would be Miigwech. Nyawa and Chi-miigwech for having me to provide this teaching to you today. And may your meeting be productive, and each of you, your families, and your communities stay healthy and safe.